Welcome to Access a Trader, the #1 community for those who are committed to taking control of their trading in order to achieve success, profitability, and longevity. Thank you for joining us. Here's Dan Shapiro to help you find your edge, master your process, and own your future.
Hey guys, good morning everybody. Welcome to another edition of the AccessATrader.com weekend update show. If everybody is doing well, beautiful, beautiful time of year. Get some exercise, get some fresh air, hug your loved ones, and live your life to the fullest because as far as we understand, we don't get mulligans. So thank you very much for joining us. All I ask, guys, if you like what we are doing, all I ask is take a moment out, support the channel, click a like, share the video, all that good stuff. And again, hopefully I will continue to help you guys out, right? So let's talk about it. Well, economic data, bull market continues, all that good stuff, right? The China trade war on, off, all that good stuff. I thought I've seen everything. I really have. I'm on my 26th year and nothing can you compare. I mean, look, if you told me 5 years ago we were going to go through a global pandemic, I was like, there's no way in hell, right? Here we are. But what we saw this week was one of the wildest things I've seen ever. So once started out as a beautiful relationship between Elon Musk and Donald J. Trump, turned into one of the biggest fiascos I've ever seen. And the one thing about life, guys, you'll always get a surprise. You'll always get a surprise. Trading is exactly the same way. Once you feel comfortable, once you start getting a little bit complacent, this is why we always talk about always keep working, right? Always keep working, always keep on redefining your edge because something will come out of nowhere that will completely rattle you. And the markets on Thursday, we went from Donald Trump saying to Elon Musk, we need to make the government accountable. We need to cut ridiculous spending and nonsense spending. We need to find where all the money and the resources are going. And you are a great patriot. You're doing a phenomenal job for the country. To thank you for your service. You're always welcome back. You're part of the family. I'm pretty sure that was a Nazi salute he gave. I'm pretty sure this guy is mentally unstable. I'm pretty sure. I mean, it was one of the wildest Thursday. We went from Elon Musk going from, Donald J. Trump's the greatest president in the world to, hey, by the way, the reason why the Epstein files didn't come out is because tweet later was deleted. But this is one of the ugliest divorces I can remember in a very long time. Again, I guess you trade long enough, you'll see everything, right? And this is pretty much it. But the constant, right? The constant reminder of, your ship could be steered off a little bit off course, but if you remain focused, remain calm, and let the market come to you, you should be right back on track. And that's exactly what the market's been doing. The market, ever since we reclaimed back the 50-day moving average, had a little bit of Trumps and tribulations, right? And we're back to we're back to a hop, step, and throw it away from the February highs. The February highs are what, 541, right? 541. We're at 530 right now on the QQQs. The earnings are looking very, very good. The IPO market, it's possible way you can even get hotter. CRWV, again, one of the greatest IPOs we've seen in the last several years, has doubled every single time. And we'll get to the specific charts in a second. I want to give you guys some ideas. But the IPO market is super hot. They're chasing everything in sight. I mean, this circle, right? CRCL. I mean, look at this thing. This thing was oversubscribed ridiculously, doubled on its initial day, and then doubled again the next day. So the market continues to be hot. Nvidia, Tesla, Amazon, all story names, all leaders, right? They have their own kind of dynamics in this market. But the most important part is what macro-wise that we're doing and we're not doing, right? We talked about even when the market tried to sell off last week, it kept on holding the 10-day moving average, right? That is your dynamic. That is your point of reference. That is your price discovery for any potential pullback. But for now, we continue to get dip being bought. Even when you start seeing topping out action, buyer strikes, right? Only a couple of names moving out at the same time. The market continues to go higher. So what's going to derail this rally? Your guess is as good as mine. Believe me, I don't sit there at nighttime trying to figure out what's going to derail this rally. I don't care, right? And that's the whole point. You're not supposed to care. You're supposed to care and be prepared for the next day, not what potentially can happen a year from now, 3 months from now. I remember, when we started reclaiming back the 50-day moving average, I kept on hearing, well, that, the market's overbought. It's a dead cat bounce, but we're above the 50-day. Again, you've been watching this broadcast for a long, long time. You know what happens above the 50-day, and you know what happens below the 50-day. And that's where we're going to segue into a little company that I like to trade from time to time, right? And let's call it Tesla, right? So Tesla and shares of DJT obviously got murdered on Thursday because nobody loves a pissing contest. A pissing contest is unstable. Nothing really good happens. Tesla shares Thursday got absolutely destroyed. DJT shares got absolutely destroyed. But the question is, what happens next? Well, I'll tell you what happens next. First, Trump told Elon he's in danger of getting deported, tongue in cheek, obviously, but who the hell knows, right? But this is starting to get really scary. And the reason why is, man, you got two monster egos, right? They're starting to feel like a Scorsese flick that one of these guys is going to get found in a trunk. Obviously, hope not. But this is getting really, really aggressive. And the most important part is not what we think is going to happen with the individual relationship, which kind of doesn't look like it's ever going to get mended, but what happens with the price of the shares, specifically Tesla. I really don't trade Donald J. Trump. So remember, right? What's the most basic thing if you were watching this broadcast? Above the 50-day bullish, below the 50-day bearish, right? Again, all these examples. You could just go through Tesla's chart, all these examples. Above the 50-day moving average here in October, we went from 212 all the way to 488. We lost the 50-day moving average on January, right? In January, we went from 401 all the way down to, where was it? Oh, it was the lows, all the way down to, so we basically got cut in half, 50%. And the last time, right, we reclaimed the 50-day moving average, we went from, on 425, we went from this 286 level, confirmed the 295, and went all the way up to 365. So here we are present day, guys. Again, this is the most basic thing in technical analysis, nothing to do with the PS60 theory. And by the way, June 22nd is coming up very, very shortly for you guys who want to attend the latest installment of the PS60 theory. We're going to be covering option flow, how to use option flow, rejections, bounces, and all that good stuff. June 22nd, if you are taking a spin of the PS60 theory, no better way to kind of cement your experience by attending the workshop. But here we are, right? Here we are. Tesla tamed and bounced the 50-day moving average on Friday. You guys see that? You see this light blue line? Tesla stopped at the 50-day moving average on Friday. Okay. How do I know this? Because I was shorting the 50-day moving average and it snapped right back on me. I was anticipating a little bit, but it's okay. Right? So moral of the story is, for this week, this 50-day moving average is a massive, absolutely massive line in the sand. If we can close below the 50-day moving average, there's going to be a lot of selling. Okay, this is not room for interpretation. I'm not here to spark a discussion, trying to spark any type of emotions. These are facts. We've known this for years and years and years. Above the 50-day bullish, below the 50-day bearish. So this week, folks, my primary focus, and again, it doesn't have to happen on Monday. It doesn't have to happen Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. It doesn't have to happen. Market can bounce Tesla back. It was an overreaction of the whole Trump fiasco, and we could be back to 365. But I am damn prepared, and that's the most important part. So at any point, if we lose the 50-day moving average on Tesla, we will be striking with extreme prejudice, because that's technically what the market is telling us to do. Some other names that I'm definitely watching. Amazon finally this week broke out, right? Amazon finally broke out this week. we are getting into a big level, right? We're getting to a big level, which was the May highs. If we could get back above the May highs, Amazon has a lot of work here, has a lot of room to go. We saw next week's 215s, 220s. We saw some for the following week, some 225 call buyers come in. So this is a name I will be definitely watching for this week. NVIDIA is very, very close, right? It had a nice earnings quarter, retraced their earnings, and now it's just putting in a series of higher lows. We are very, very close to busting out. Again, we are still seeing a very, very aggressive short-term call buying coming in for the 147s, the 148s, the 150s. So this is a name we definitely want to watch for this week. Let me give you guys some more names. I got some more names for you, okay? Since the IPO market has been so on fire, right? So on fire, let's watch eToro, right? Let's watch eToro. Right? So the IPO highs or the May highs, the way the IPO market is absolutely on fire, this is usually not a name that I'd be looking at. I will be looking at it just because, you got history. You got Circle doubling, you got CRWV doubling. We definitely want to pay attention to the hot market. Again, stick to what's working. Don't overthinking. Don't try to be, don't try to outsmart the market. If the IPO market is hot, let's watch the earnings highs. If eToro takes out the earnings highs, this thing can really wake up. So let's keep an eye on that. Shopify, right? Just like Amazon, Shopify is starting to get really tight. And this whole massive range that started in February is very close to being challenging. Again, the longer the distribution, especially if you guys are coming to the June 22nd latest installment, watch the first workshop, right? Watch the second workshop. It's the foundation of the PS60. And in that whole point of view, the longer a stock sits in distribution, the higher probability it will bust through. So Shopify is sitting on a long base. Its latest area was the May 16 highs. We definitely want to keep on Shopify. Look at a smaller name, BKSY, right? Same type of base as Amazon, same type of base of a Shopify. Again, the longer the base, the longer the distribution, the higher probability it will bust through. BKSY, beautiful looking chart. So let's definitely keep an eye on that. Google, right? Let's watch Google as well. Google is very close now of getting back above supply. Again, it's very rare in this type of environment. Stocks are below supply. Remember the last one we talked about on Wednesday's video was Amazon. Amazon is literally the same chart as Google. You see how many times we talked about this 65-day supply, 150-day supply? Every single time it got rejected off and it finally went through. Well, Google is kind of sitting exactly the same way. It's literally sitting below the supply zone, right? The 150-day SMA. All it needs to do is get back above this 150-day SMA, and this thing can really wake up as well. There's a lot of charts on semiconductors, still looks good, flagging from that last move. You had some really big moves all week everywhere, right? All week everywhere. I think this week we will probably get a little bit more stability, okay? I think that last week that we saw, a little bit of aggression just because of the Trump Elon fight, social media fight. The Twitter fingers went crazy. But the point is, I think the market now is starting to stabilize a little bit more, right? And if you think about that day when everything got hit, the NASDAQ was only down less than 1%. So there's a lot of still speculation money on the table. You have small caps, mid cap names still acting well. The IPO names are still acting well. The leaders are busting out. It's a very healthy organic market. Again, guys, I know a lot of new traders, you sit in there and you try to be right and you're trying to be perfect. You're not trying to be right or we're trying to be perfect. We're human beings. We're faulted, right? We're not trying to, solve, the next week's closing prices. We're trying to win our interval for Monday, right? And the data that we're just talking about now is only applied for Monday. It's not applied for next Thursday, 2027, or the next Groundhog's Day. Our data is for the next day. Whether we win, lose, or draw, we are going to wait for confirmation. We're not going to anticipate. We're not going to guess. We're going to let the market tell us which way the wind is blowing. So hopefully everybody is doing well. For all you guys who are joining us in the webinar tomorrow, I look forward to working with you guys. And with God's help, I will see you all in the field tomorrow. Have a wonderful, wonderful trading week.